Question: have you experienced SGA? Find out my story next. What's up, guys? This is Pedro from my Stuttering Life, where you'll hear the good, the bad, the very ugly. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna cry, but through it all, just know that you are not alone. So let's get started. Stuttering and SGA. SGA stands for shame, guilt, and apologizing. In life, success is all about showing up. We've all been beaten down by life, and we have the physical scars and the emotional scars to show for it. But the most important part is that you show up and you do it. When you show up, you win. If you fail when showing up, you do so with courage and tenacity, because you never stop moving forward. You keep on showing up. If you are a person who stutters, shame is that negative voice in your head saying that you are just not good enough. And because you stutter, that shame voice pops up in your head. You can't even say your name. You can't even keep a job. You can't even be in a relationship. I know you've had bad things happen to you while you were growing up. You don't even have friends. You don't even live by yourself. You still live with your parents. You just can't be successful. Just go ahead and apply for disability. Why even try out? You're not going to make it anyway. So my shame was directly correlated to depression and suicide. When I was growing up, I went down a dark path, and I never thought that there would be light at the end of the tunnel, because I was always hearing that shame voice in my head every single day, that you're not good enough. What can you do? You can't do anything. You can't even say your name. So I spent the bulk of my time isolated. I was just all by myself, just thinking, what if I can't have a job? What if I can't be in a relationship? What if I can't do what everyone tells me that I cannot do? Is that really a life that I want to live? Which led me down a dark path. And it wasn't by the grace of God that there was a person at the end of what I thought was my rope. He told me that, why are you going to do this? You don't need to do this. You are awesome. You have a gift. Let the world hear it. Let the world know it. And at that point, I saw the light again. I thought that I would never see that light again, because all I experienced was the darkness. So if we can shut down that shame voice, and we can do it. I did it. It was a tough road, but I did it, and so I know that you can do it. If we can just shut it down and just tell ourselves that I can do this. I'm going to do this. I have no problem doing this. The only person who's laughing at you, the only person who is criticizing you, the only person who is making fun of you is you. I came to the realization that I don't need to be doing this anymore. I'm going to stop this because I love Pedro. There is nothing that I cannot do if I set my mind to it. So as a person who stuttered, I lived with shame because of my stutter my entire life until I turned 40. I looked back at my life and I reflected on all of my past accomplishments. Number 1, I joined the Air Force. Number 2, I fought in the Gulf War. Number 3, I went to college. I obtained my associate's degree in psychology. I was pre-law, but then I watched that movie, My Cousin Vinny, and I said, no, that's not going to be me, the lawyer who was stuttering, trying to present the case. I said, no, that's not going to be me. So thankfully, I changed to psychology. I love psychology. And then I obtained my bachelor's in psychology, and then my master's in industrial organizational psychology, and then I added vocational rehab counseling. I survived many, many, many job interviews. I fell in love. I have a family. I have loving parents. And most importantly, I learned empathy. I learned me too. In our daily struggles as people who stutter, people who have a speech impediment, a stammer, a stutter, a lisp, I understood and learned empathy. Because when I first met another person who stuttered, it wasn't until my late 20s when I was talking to that person, I immediately knew that that person stuttered. I could feel that person had a block, and that person was trying to do everything to get that word out. I had a hard time with my name, and then when I was trying to hear the other person's name, I felt the struggle. I felt the pain. I felt the anguish. Every feeling that that person was experiencing, I was also experiencing it. And I kept my eye contact. I was extremely patient and supportive, and I waited for that other person to get their name out. And there was a connection. There was instant rapport because I understood what he was going through and vice versa. So the concept of empathy that I have learned because I have a stutter has been monumental in my life, because I know how you feel. I know exactly what you are going through. So however I can help you, that is what I'm going to do. So when I turned 40 on October 2, 2010, I made a decision. I said, enough is enough. No more will I worry about what other people think about my stutter. No longer will I feel shame about my stutter. No longer will I expend all this energy onto what other people think about me and my stutter, because you're not living at that point. You're only living for the other person and trying to people please the other person. And to me, it was exhausting and it was draining until I said no more. When I turned the big 4-0, that was it. I said, this is the day that I'm going to stop caring what other people think about my stutter, because I don't care. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do Pedro. I'm going to do me. And I'm just going to do whatever I want. I don't even care if I stutter. Because as you know, life goes on. Life does not stop because I can't say my name. So I took back control. I took back the power that I gave other people regarding my stutter. And I said, no more will you control me. No more will you dictate every step of my life. I'm done with you stuttering. I'm done. Because I want to do what I want to do. I don't care if I can't say my name. Oh, well, if it takes me 4 hours, it takes me 4 hours. Guess what? Life goes on. But no longer will you control me. No longer will you tell me what I can and cannot do. Because at this point, at the big 4-0, I'm going to live my best life. Like what you hear Oprah say all the time. Live your best life. Well, since I'm from Texas, I'm going to live my bestest life. That is what I'm going to do from here on out. So I was liberated on that day, and my self-confidence skyrocketed. I was walking into every situation where I am the shiznick. I am the bee's knees. I'm going to do my thing, and if I stutter, oh well. If you make fun of me when I'm stuttering, that's on you. You have your demons to deal with. I'm doing just fine. I'm Pedro. I stutter. I love me some Pedro. Life goes on. Never again will I feel shame, because by definition, shame is a focus on yourself. For example, I am bad. I am damaged. Oh, how I wished that I was an item that you could buy at the store, and when you brought it home and it was damaged and broken, you could just take that item back to the store and get an item that was not broken or damaged. Oh, how I wished that was me. I wished that I never had this. I wished that I was just normal. But what I realized is that no one's normal. We're all different. We're all unique. We're all special. We all have a story to tell. And that's why I'm here. Because if you are a person of stutters, you are not alone. You are not alone. If you have experienced an issue, I bet you 9 times out of 10, I did as well. So if I can help you, guide you through it, my work is done. Because we're all here to help each other on this planet. We're all here to serve one another. That is why we are here. So by shutting down that shame voice, I learned that I was awesome and that I love myself. I love Pedro. I love me some Pedro. And who cares what other people think about my stutter? I don't care. I don't care what you say. It's my life. I'm going to live my life how I want to live my life. Positive. All right, so let's talk about guilt. Guilt is different than shame. Shame is I am bad. Guilt is I have done something that is bad. In all my years of having a stutter, I used a lot of crutches to help me overcome obstacles. I would write down on pieces of paper what I wanted. For example, if I wanted a hamburger meal at McDonald's, but I wasn't having a good speech day, I wrote it down. And so when I went to McDonald's, I would hand the cashier the note and pretend that I didn't have a voice. And they would get the order, I would pay, and everything was great. And so I tried that also at a bank. Okay, so here's a backstory. So I ran out of checks, so I had to reorder more checks. So I walk into the bank. I had already written a note, that I needed to speak with a representative to help me order more checks. So here I am, I'm standing in line at a bank holding a piece of paper. And so when it's my turn, everything's great. It's a beautiful day. I have my piece of paper. I'm having a bad speech day, so I'm gonna make this happen. So I walk up to the teller, and then I slide the note over to her. Not knowing the reality of what I just done. Because here I am, I just need to order some more checks. That's all. So when I give her the note, her eyes go very big and she motions to the security guard. So here comes a security guard right behind me. I'm thinking, oh crap, what is going on? What is happening? And by this time, my speech went from 10% non-fluent to 0%. And so the guard was asking me, is there a problem? And so I turned around, and so then I was escorted into an office. Mind you, I'm sweating like a dog in the heat at this point. And so thankfully, the teller opens up the note and gives it to the manager and the security guard. And so I just, at this point, it's like, okay, you need to talk or you're going to the popo house. You're going to the big house and you're too pretty for the big house. So I explained that I have a stutter and that this was going to help me accomplish what I came in here to do today. And so it was a huge misunderstanding. I was not there to rob the bank, for number one. For number two, all I wanted to do was just order my checks and be done with it. Have a nice day. And this was in my 20s. So, you know, as we get older, we get wiser. So I will never be doing that again. So all those times that I lied to people about not having a voice and many other things, I wasn't really thinking about that other person. So I felt guilty afterwards, after deceiving all those people and lying to them. I felt so guilty afterwards, but I wasn't really focusing on the guilt. I was focusing on, I got what I wanted, and so let's move on. The hard part is that I lied to each and every one of those people. I deceived them, and if I could, I would go back to every single person that I lied to and deceived and tell them I'm sorry, because that's the right thing to do. I don't do that anymore because remember what happened when I turned 40 on October 2, 2010, which leads to apologizing. Oh look, I have a friend. This is Ruby. She helps me out a lot. So I would tell people, you know, I stutter, I'm sorry, I stutter. And so that was a pattern that I was doing for quite a long time until I turned 40, and that's when I stopped apologizing. This is who I am. I love Pedro. Pedro is awesome, and Ruby thinks I'm awesome. So I'm going to live my best life. No more apologizing for my stutter. I'm in this world. I'm here to live my bestest life. And if you have a stutter, a stammer, a lisp, any speech impediment, we're here to help each other. We're here on this earth to serve one another. So if you have experienced any obstacles any adversity. Let's help one another through it, because that's why we are here. We're here to help one another on this earth. So, I hope you got value. Please leave me a comment and tell me if you have experienced shame, guilt, or apologizing, because I want to hear from you, because you are not alone. I want you to like this video. I want you to share it and also subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day. I want to thank you for spending time with me and Ruby, and we will talk again.